Hey guys, it's Tim with PT Progress, and today we're talking about the truth about physical therapy school. We'll talk about selecting a school, succeeding in school, and setting yourself up for success after school. It's a conversation I wish I could have with everyone here who is interested in PT school. We can go grab a cup of coffee and talk about these questions, but we can't really grab a cup of coffee because, masks and everything. But I hope you have your coffee. I'm gonna go grab some coffee myself, and we're gonna go along the ride and talk about 3 truths of physical therapy school, and I hope you find them to be helpful. Ready? Let's go. Safety first, folks. Safety first. Man, it's cold out there, but I couldn't wait to tell you this. I'm getting some gas, and we're gonna see if I can get this out before all of the gas goes into the truck. We're gonna try to go quickly here, but this is very important because a lot of you are looking at schools right now, and I've talked about this before. The rankings that you'll see online, they really don't matter. You're going to see some rankings from US News and World Report. It really doesn't have much to do with your physical therapy school education, your clinicals, your success rate, your pass rate, your board's pass rate, your graduation rate. It doesn't really account for any of that. Your selection of a school should include things like your cost, the location of the school, the program setup, whether they have clinical rotations at the beginning, in the middle, at the end, all 3. All of those elements are important. Things like your pass rate, your board's pass rate, your graduation rate. Those are the elements that you need to ask about during your physical therapy interview, and not just focus solely on those US News and World Report rankings. Those aren't really helpful. Where were we? Oh yeah, coffee. Let's go get some coffee. Okay, we're on our way to get some coffee, but again, I couldn't wait to just talk to you about the most important elements, and in my opinion are these 4 big elements: cost, location, the accreditation of the program, and the structure of the program. And so, in terms of cost, the public schools out there for physical therapy range from starting around $19,000 a year. Now that's not cheap, but the private schools in comparison are about $37,000 a year. And you might be thinking, oh, well, that difference of $18,000 is not that big of a deal. But compounded over 3 years, I mean, you're talking at least a $55,000 difference in those 3 years, including interest and other fees of private schools. And as that amount compounds over the years, it's going to amount to well over $500 a month extra in payments for the next 10 years. And I'm not telling you a private school is worse or better than a public school, vice versa. I'm just telling you what $55,000 difference over 3 years will cost per month as a physical therapist, when your salary as a physical therapist is about $75,000 a year and your take-home pay is $4,000 to $5,000 a month. That extra $500 a month over the next 10 years is a huge portion of your budget. So it's something to really consider. The end number, that $54,000, $55,000 difference based on those average PT school costs, don't ignore those. Okay, the second consideration I really think is important is the location. And I do go over a lot of this in the physical therapy school interview guide. People have asked me, hey, can I take you out for lunch and we talk about physical therapy school? I'll tell you this, it's going to be cheaper and faster for you to read the physical therapy school interview guide than it is for us to meet up and answer all these questions. I could not sit down for an hour to answer all these questions that I've addressed in the book. Now, I know if you only were accepted to one school, you have very little control over the location of that school, but if you have multiple options available to you, consider the program location, whether that's downtown New York or in the middle of Iowa somewhere. You're going to see a huge difference in cost and just quality of living just based on the location. How long of a drive time is it to get to the school? Do you have to spend 45 minutes a day driving to school or driving back home? Or is it a 15-minute walk or a 15-minute drive? So that's a huge component of your decision, just the quality of living and the location of the program. So don't ignore location. Okay, the third thing that I briefly mentioned was accreditation. The number of private physical therapy schools has shot through the roof, and I think it's a combination of both the demand for physical therapy, the demand of PT students wanting to become physical therapists. There's over 20,000 PT school applicants and just over 10,000 who are accepted into PT school. So the acceptance rate is very low, and I think there are a lot of private PT schools who are seeing the opportunity and opening up programs, but it does mean that you need to be careful of the school that you're applying to. Are they accredited? Are they in the steps to be accredited? You're going to find a lot of new private schools out there who are just starting the accreditation process. Look, I'm not telling you that you should not go to a physical therapy school that is just starting with their accreditation. It's not something that I would do, but if you are in that process and that's the only school available to you, just be careful because you want to make sure that your education is top-notch. If you're going to a private school that's just starting out and getting accredited and you're paying top dollar for that, you want to make sure that when you graduate, your degree means something. And not only that, but the quality of your education is top-notch. If you're paying for this, you really need to make sure that these professors, these instructors have been around. This is not their first year teaching. You're worth more than that. And so make sure that you go into a program that is established, that is known for producing quality graduates, not just pumping out physical therapy students year after year. And I think you're going to be happy with your decision. All right, folks, it's time to get some coffee. Ready? Oh, that's good. That's good. If you're ever in Lansing, Michigan, this is Blue Owl Coffee. It's my favorite coffee shop. Okay, the last thing I want to talk about in terms of selecting a school is the structure of the program. Now, that includes things like the number of physical therapy students that are in the program, also the layout of the program in terms of the class structure, the time of day that you're going to be in class. Is it online versus all in person? There's a lot of things to consider in terms of your learning style and what the program is designed to deliver to you. Be sure to ask those questions during your interview. I remind you of all of that in the Physical Therapy School interview guide, but I just wanted to talk about how the structure of your program really should be considered when you're choosing and selecting a PT school. Okay, let's take a little detour here and talk about how to succeed in PT school. I'm going to assume that you've selected your PT school based on the criteria we were talking about. Succeeding in physical therapy school, that's what a lot of people are very curious about. Once they get that acceptance letter, how do you find success in PT school? So when I was in PT school, I used a couple of tools that I would definitely use again. One of them was for the iPad. It was called Notability, and I was able to take a lot of my notes on the app itself. What I would do is I would download the PDFs of the lectures, and then during the class, I would type my notes directly onto the PDF notes of the lecture, and then I could even record, and I could go back to that part of the lecture and re-listen to it based on the slide. So it was a brilliant way to do my notes, and I really loved taking notes with Notability. The other thing that I did was I listened to those lectures on the way home or the next day, and so I think that was a great use of extra time. Now, in terms of studying for exams, I found that flashcards were really helpful for me, and so I used a tool called Quizlet. I could create my own flashcards, but sometimes I would find flashcards and upload them to my Quizlet deck, and I would review those before exams. That really helped me for studying for my boards as well, so I definitely recommend Quizlet. And a third resource that I wish I had that my wife actually had during med school, and now you can have during PT school, is called Picmonic. And the reason I know you could have this during PT school is because I worked with Picmonic to create the platform for physical therapists to reference all of the relevant Picmonics for physical therapy school, which is pretty awesome because what you can do now is you can go through their entire library of Picmonics that are really helpful, memorable stories that will reinforce those hard to learn concepts that you'll find most relevant for your boards exam. So take a look at Picmonic as well as one of the resources that I wish I had in PT school. I know it's going to help you in finding PT school success. So those are some of the resources that I found to be most helpful for students today that they should take a look at. So definitely look at Notability, Quizlet, and Picmonic as some of the top resources that you have as a student. Okay, and the third truth about physical therapy school is how to set yourself up for success after PT school. I know as a PT student, I was constantly thinking about how I could succeed as a physical therapist once I'm out of school. You get to the point when your third year of PT school, you're just kind of done with it and you can't wait to practice. And yes, you're going to be studying for your boards and you need to finish out school strong, but you can also start to think about how you can set yourself up for success after PT school. So setting yourself up for success after PT school includes networking and building relationships with clinical instructors and other mentors, but also it means that you continue to take an active role in your education, finding things that you're interested in learning more about. And for me, that included continuing education and in finding ways that I could continue to improve my skills and the things that I was interested in learning. You see, physical therapy schools, they're meant to create generalists, but if you're interested in becoming more specialized in a certain area, you need to take on that initiative. So take continuing education courses in person, online. I've taken courses through the Institute of Clinical Excellence and love their courses. I've taken countless courses through MedBridge and continue to recommend using MedBridge. All sorts of resources to help improve your marketability after PT school. Start looking at those resources now and ways to set yourself apart and set yourself up for success after PT school. I think one of the biggest challenges for new grad physical therapists is finding that work-life balance and transitioning from 6 to 8 hours a day in the classroom and clinical rotations into a full-time caseload on their own, 8 hours in the clinic, managing their own patient volume, and learning how to become the physical therapist they trained to be. Is quite a bit different depending on your clinical rotations that you had the ability to participate in, but being on your own poses all sorts of new challenges that can be kind of stressful for a new graduate. And one of those challenges is finding ways to be efficient with your documentation. And the fact is, your documentation and your notes are going to be a huge component of your physical therapy career, whether you like it or not. It's not the most fun part of our job, but it does take a lot of time. And one of the things that I learned early on as a physical therapist, and I hope you reference this later on if you're a physical therapy student, not all PTs are creative writers. And sometimes it's helpful to go off of templates or examples of what other people have written and used in their experiences, which will help to shape how you describe the treatment that you've provided. I found that my note writing improved significantly, and the time spent writing those notes decreased tremendously when I used a better framework, had a better idea of how to structure my notes, whether that was an evaluation or a progress note or even a daily note, how to become more efficient in the documentation. And that's part of what I have created for you guys as well. The documentation templates through PT Progress are just a look into how I make my notes as efficient as they can be. So I'd encourage you to take a look at those as well. You'll find the link in the description below, or you can just search for ptprogress.com/templates. Okay, so regardless of whatever stage you find yourself in, whether you're applying to PT school or whether you're in PT school right now, or setting yourself up for success after PT school, I hope you found some of these insights to be helpful. And if so, I'd love for you to give this video a like so we can make more videos like this for you and to help you through your physical therapy school journey. Let me know what questions you have, and maybe we can grab some coffee later and answer those as well. I appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.